I stood outside the Grand Meridian Hotel, my hands gripping the steering wheel of a Rolls-Royce Phantom that cost more than most people's houses. Through the glass doors I could see her, Ashley, my ex-wife, in a white wedding dress, laughing with guests I used to call friends. 6 months ago she threw divorce papers in my face and said words that still burned in my chest. "You're a failure, Jason. You've always been a failure. That's why I'm marrying Marcus, a real man who knows how to win." Then she did something I never expected. She invited me to this wedding. Not out of kindness. Not out of closure. She wanted to humiliate me one last time, to parade her new life in front of the man she'd discarded like trash. But as I stepped out of that car, straightened my $15,000 suit, and watched the valet's eyes widen in recognition, I knew something Ashley didn't. Today wasn't her victory. Was mine. The woman who called me worthless had no idea she'd divorced a billionaire. And in about 5 minutes, her perfect wedding was about to become the worst day of her life. Please, before I continue, kindly like, share and subscribe for more interesting videos. 6 months earlier, I walked into our apartment with a cardboard box containing 7 years of my career. Arcline Tech had laid me off that morning. No warning, no severance beyond 2 weeks' pay. My hands were shaking as I set the box down. Ashley was on the couch, scrolling through her phone, her face illuminated by the cold blue light. "Ash, I got laid off today," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She looked up slowly, and what I saw in her eyes wasn't sympathy. It was disgust. "Of course you did," she said flatly. "What do you mean, of course?" "Babe, the whole department got cut. You've been a failure waiting to happen, Jason. I've been carrying us for months while you worked your pathetic little job. I felt like I'd been punched. I've been trying to provide for us. Trying isn't good enough." She stood up, her voice rising. "My friends were right about you. I married a man with no spine, no ambition, no future." She walked to the bedroom and returned with a manila envelope. She threw it on the coffee table between us. "Sign them. I'm done wasting my life on you." I opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Divorce papers. My wife of 7 years had prepared divorce papers before I'd even lost my job. "How long have you had these?" I asked. She didn't answer. She just turned back to her phone, dismissing me like I was nothing. "I didn't sign those papers. Not right away. I spent 2 weeks applying to every job I could find, 40 applications, 12 interviews, 0 offers. I sold my car to cover rent. I borrowed money from my younger brother Tyler just to buy groceries. I was fighting for us, even though Ashley had already given up. She barely spoke to me anymore. She was always on her phone, always texting someone, always smiling at her screen in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months. One night, I came home early from an interview. The apartment was dark except for a sliver of light under our bedroom door. I heard laughter. Her laughter, mixed with a deeper voice I recognized instantly. My hand froze on the doorknob. I didn't want to open it. I didn't want to see what I already knew was happening. But I did. Ashley was in our bed with Marcus Mitchell. My best friend since childhood, the man who'd been best man at our wedding, the brother I'd chosen. They didn't scramble or panic. Ashley just stared at me with cold, defiant eyes. "You were supposed to be gone until 8, she said calmly. "Marcus, bro, what the hell?" My voice cracked. Marcus pulled on his shirt, not even having the decency to look ashamed. "Jason, man, this just happened. You know how it is." "How long?" Silence. "How long?" I screamed. Ashley crossed her arms. "Does it matter? You stopped being a man months ago." I crashed on Tyler's couch that night. My younger brother lived in a cramped studio apartment above a laundromat, barely scraping by as a bartender. But he didn't hesitate when I showed up at his door at midnight. "Stay as long as you need, bro," Tyler said, handing me a beer. "You look like hell." I lost everything, Ty. My job. My wife. My best friend. What's left? He sat beside me. "You know what Dad used to say? The only way out is through." I stared at the ceiling, my phone buzzing constantly. Text after text from Ashley's lawyer. Then one from Ashley herself. "Marcus and I are together now. Thought you should know. Don't make the divorce harder than it needs to be." I deleted it. Then another text came through, from an unknown number. "Jason Brandon? This is attorney Helen Cross. I represent the estate of your late uncle, David Harrington. We need to speak immediately regarding your inheritance." I stared at those words. Uncle David. I hadn't spoken to him in over a decade. He'd raised me and Tyler after our parents died, but our relationship had been cold, transactional. When I turned 18, he told me to make my own way in the world. So I did. I built my career from nothing, married Ashley, and never asked him for a dime. He died 6 months ago. I didn't even go to the funeral. Helen Cross's law office was all polished mahogany and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. She was sharp, professional, mid-50s with eyes that had seen 1,000 family dramas. "Mr. Brandon, your uncle left explicit instructions," she said, sliding a leather folder across her desk. "His estate, Harrington Logistics, valued at $2.4 billion, was held in trust until his death. Full control now transfers to you." My ears were ringing. "What? You are now the sole owner and CEO of Harrington Logistics. Your uncle also left you $150 million in liquid assets, properties in 6 countries, and this." She handed me a sealed envelope with my name written in my uncle's handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. "Jason, I was hard on you because I wanted you to be stronger than me. You left to build your own life and I respected that. But I always knew you'd need this one day. Don't let the world break you. You're a Harrington. Act like it." "Uncle David, I read it 3 times. Why didn't he tell me?" Helen leaned back. "He said if you knew, you'd never have become the man you are now. He wanted you to earn your character before you inherited his fortune." I walked out of that office in a daze. Tyler was waiting in the lobby. "So, what did they want?" I looked at him, my voice hollow. "I'm a billionaire." The next 5 months were a blur. I moved into a penthouse in the financial district, floor-to-ceiling windows, private elevator, a view that made the city look like a toy model. I hired a stylist who burned my old wardrobe and replaced it with Italian suits. I got a haircut that cost more than my old monthly rent. I started working out at 5 every morning, building muscle, shedding the softness of my old defeated self. Harrington Logistics became my obsession. I walked into that headquarters on my first day and every executive stood when I entered the boardroom. "Good morning, Mr. Harrington," they said in unison. I attended charity galas where senators and CEOs shook my hand. I made deals worth millions before breakfast. But I also hired a private investigator. "I want to know everything about Marcus Mitchell," I told him. "Financials, business dealings, vulnerabilities. Everything." 2 weeks later he delivered a file 3 inches thick. Marcus was drowning in debt, $670,000 from bad investments and gambling. His company was leveraged to the breaking point. And Ashley? She had no idea she'd left a billionaire for a man on the verge of bankruptcy. Then the invitation arrived. Cream-colored cardstock, elegant calligraphy. "You are cordially invited to the wedding of Ashley Monroe and Marcus Mitchell." Inside, a handwritten note. "Jason, I know this might be hard, but it would mean a lot if you came. Show everyone you're doing okay." Ashley, Tyler read over my shoulder. "She's inviting you to humiliate you." I smiled. "Then let's give her a show she'll never forget." I arrived in the Rolls-Royce Phantom, flanked by 2 security guards in black suits. The valet's mouth literally fell open when I stepped out. Guests turned and stared, whispers rippling through the crowd like wildfire. "Who is that?" "I don't know, but he looks like he owns half the city." I walked into the Grand Meridian Hotel with my head high, every step deliberate. The ceremony was about to start. Ashley and Marcus stood at the altar, her in white lace, him in a rented tuxedo that didn't quite fit. Then Ashley saw me. Her face drained of color. She grabbed Marcus's arm, whispering frantically. He turned, and for a split second, I saw fear flash across his face. I sat in the back row, calm, arms crossed. The officiant began his speech about love and commitment. It took everything in me not to laugh. "If anyone objects to this union," the officiant said, "speak now or forever hold your peace." I stood up. The room went silent. Every head turned. "I'd like to say something," I said, my voice carrying across the room. Ashley's eyes were wide with panic. Marcus looked like he might throw up. The officiant stammered, Sir, this isn't really the time for, it'll only take a minute," I said, walking toward the altar. I smiled at the crowd, then at the bride and groom. "I promise you'll want to hear this." I stopped a few feet from the altar, every eye in the room locked on me. "Relax," I said, holding up my hands. "I'm not here to object. I'm here to congratulate you both." Ashley's breathing was shallow. Marcus's jaw was clenched. "Ashley, you once told me I was a failure. A man with no future, no spine, no worth. And you, Marcus," I turned to my former best friend, "you said what happened between you and my wife, just happened. Like it was fate." I pulled a folder from inside my jacket. "But here's the thing. While you two were busy planning this beautiful wedding, I was busy too. Marcus, your company, Mitchell and Associates? I bought it. This morning. For $2.3 million. Congratulations, you now work for me. Marcus's face went white as paper. Gasps erupted from the guest. Oh, and Ashley? I turned to her. That ring Marcus gave you? The one you thought was so expensive? He bought it on credit. $30,000 he doesn't have. He's $670,000 in debt. Gambling. Bad investments. He's been lying to you this whole time. Ashley looked at Marcus, horror spreading across her face. Marcus, is this true? He opened his mouth but no words came out. And one more thing, I said, turning to leave. That apartment you're living in? The one Marcus said he bought? It's a rental. I own the building. Your lease is up in 30 days. I walked toward the exit. Behind me, chaos erupted, Ashley screaming at Marcus, guests pulling out their phones, the officiant standing frozen. I didn't look back. Tyler was waiting in the car, grinning like a madman. Dude, that was legendary. I loosened my tie as the driver pulled away from the hotel. I didn't do it for revenge, Ty. I did it so I'd never have to think about them again. My phone started buzzing, texts, calls, voicemails. All from Ashley. Jason, please, we need to talk. I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. Please answer. Please. I turned my phone off and stared out the window at the city lights. For the first time in 6 months, I felt nothing when I thought about her. No anger. No pain. Just nothing. Where to now, sir? The driver asked. Home, I said. But I realized I didn't mean the penthouse. Home wasn't a place anymore. It was a feeling, the feeling of finally being free from people who never deserved me in the first place. Tyler cracked open a bottle of champagne he'd hidden under the seat. To new beginnings, he said, pouring 2 glasses. I clinked my glass against his. To becoming someone they can never touch again. We drank as the city blurred past, and for the first time in months I smiled. A real smile, not born from revenge or bitterness, but from the simple truth that I had survived. I had risen. And I would never fall again. I stood in the ballroom of the Ritz-Carlton, champagne in hand, surrounded by the city's elite. Beside me was Dr. Sophia Reed, brilliant, compassionate, a renowned cardiac surgeon who'd saved hundreds of lives. We'd met at a medical charity fundraiser I'd donated $2 million to. You know, Sophia said, adjusting the diamond necklace I'd given her for her birthday, when I first met you, I thought you were just another billionaire trying to buy his way into heaven. I laughed. And now? Now I know you're a man who's been broken and rebuilt himself. That's rare, Jason. That's real. Across the ballroom I saw her. Ashley. She was wearing a catering uniform, carrying a tray of hors d'oeuvres, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. No Marcus. No ring. Just a woman who'd gambled everything on the wrong man and lost. Our eyes met for a brief moment. I saw the tears forming, the regret, the desperate wish that she could rewind time. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No anger. Just pity. I turned back to Sophia, who was telling me about a new surgical technique she was developing. I listened, genuinely interested, genuinely present. Ashley was a ghost from a life I no longer lived. And ghosts, I'd learned, only have power if you let them haunt you. Late that night, I sat alone in my office. The city sprawled out below me like a carpet of stars. I pulled out Uncle David's letter and read it again, the paper worn from my fingers tracing the words. Don't let the world break you. You're a Harrington. Act like it. I thought about everything, the layoff, the betrayal, the moment I stood in that hotel room and watched my wife in bed with my best friend. I thought about the man I was then, broken, defeated, ready to give up. And I thought about the man I'd become. People measure success in dollars and power. But real success, I'd learned, isn't about what you gain. It's about what you refuse to lose. I didn't lose my integrity when Ashley left. I didn't lose my humanity when I had the power to destroy Marcus completely. I didn't lose myself in the wealth and the revenge. Ashley and Marcus thought they won when they pushed me aside. But they lost the only thing that mattered, their character. And that's something no amount of money can buy back. I put the letter away and stood at the window. Tomorrow I'd wake up and build something meaningful. I'd use my fortune to create jobs, fund research, help people who were where I once was. Because the best revenge isn't becoming rich. It's becoming someone they could never be. I was free. Finally, completely free.